Hi there, my name is Spencer Pettit, and I'm the author of the book called The Belief Blueprint. And one of the core parts of that book is an exercise where we take you through the process of finding your fire. A lot of people call this finding your why or finding your motivation, but for the purposes of this presentation, we're simply going to call it Find Your Fire. Let's go ahead and get started. Point A is where you are today. A lot of people don't understand the significance of what you have with you right now. And so in order to talk about point A, we also want to talk about where we are today and where we want to be. So we call that point B. And we always are talking about where we want to go, what we want to accomplish, who we want to become. This is simply all of the goals that we put out there in the distance. We need to give some labels to these points, though, because while a lot of us sit around as who we are today, thinking of what we want to be in the future, we don't quite realize the significance of where we are today and how to leverage that into what we would like to accomplish. So, when we look at point A, we need to understand that actually our why is already burning inside of us today. Now, a lot of people get confused on this and think somehow they have to find something, find some great inspiring thing that they want to accomplish. But that's not true. Your why is inside of you right now where you are today. And then point B, well, this is what you want to accomplish. These are goals. Now, a lot of people think, wow, this is too simplistic. But let's get really clear here. A lot of people confuse the two of these things. Now, it's a mathematical fact that you need 2 points in order to draw a straight line. In other words, you need to have at least a starting point and an end point in order to have trajectory, in order to have direction. But here's the question. Is what you've been thinking of as your motivation a what or a why? A lot of people get this confused. If you don't get it pinned down as to what you're actually going after and why you're doing it, things are going to get a little bit crazy. Imagine pinning down one side of that. You're really clear on why you do what you do. You're really clear on why you get out of bed in the morning and why you work on the things that you're working on. But then on the other hand, maybe you're really clear on what it is that you want to accomplish. You're clear on the things that you would like to obtain or the goals that you would like to see accomplished. It doesn't matter if you have one of them pinned down. You see, if you've only got your why pinned down, but you're not sure what you're after, or what you're after changes from day to day, week, or month to month, then you're actually going to feel like you're spinning your wheels. So we've got the picture of the hamster here to indicate how this little line is going to just be all over the place, like a propeller on a plane. As the things that you're going after, the whats, are changing, even if your why is locked in, it's still going to be spinning around. And on the other hand, even if you know exactly what it is that you want to accomplish, but you're not quite sure why you're doing it, you're going to have a really hard time getting out of bed in the morning. You're going to have a really hard time making it through the hard trials and obstacles and things that will come your way as you're working towards your accomplishment. So with all of that said, is it clear now why you've ever felt like you're spinning your wheels? That's why finding your fire is so important. It's why digging in is so important. Now let's get really clear about this. Let's not confuse what's and whys anymore. You see, what's are things. What's are things that we can take pictures of and put up on vision boards and think about and make the desktop on our computer so that every time we fire up our computer, we can see the thing that we're working on. These things can be inspirational. These can be things like wanting to bring your husband home or a wife home from work, maybe having a more free lifestyle. Perhaps you want to make more money. Maybe it's that you're looking for a certain sort of ideal weight, or maybe you're looking for the opportunity to develop some kind of a skill. Whatever it is, all of that I just mentioned are things. They're all things. Your why is a feeling. Your why is a feeling. The thing that burns inside of you, that makes you get out of bed in the morning, that makes you want to work on the things that you're working on, to build a business, to change a relationship, to put the time and effort into something difficult in your life. It's a feeling. You see, humans, we don't work for things. We work for feelings. And so as those feelings come back to us, yes, sometimes things appear to be capable of satisfying those needs, fulfilling those feelings. But let's be really clear. A lot of people have spent a lot of time spinning their wheels because they thought that their why was a thing when in fact it was a feeling. With that said, let's talk about how to find your fire now. Let's talk about how to really dig in. In order to do this, we need to start with a blank sheet of paper. And as you're getting that blank sheet of paper out, I'm going to describe the human brain to you very simplistically and very clearly, just to make the point of where we're headed. You see, there's 3 levels of the brain. There's the neocortex, the outer brain, there's the midbrain, and then there's the limbic brain. The limbic brain is sometimes called the old brain or the reptilian brain. Basically, it's the part of our brain that we share with every other living creature. It's the reactionary, the instinct part of our minds, okay? Now, if we're speaking from a pure biological point of view, the limbic brain is the part of the brain that keeps us alive. It's responsible for heart rate, pupil dilation, all of the things that go on it. It's what keeps you breathing as you sleep through the night. The limbic brain is extremely powerful. Its sole purpose is to keep you alive. Its sole purpose is to protect you from harm. That's why it's so important to understand what is going on around the limbic brain. Now, the limbic brain consists of several different parts that have to do with memory and have to do with emotion, and a lot of things are tied into this limbic system. But just for the purposes of our exercise today, let's focus in on what the limbic brain is actually accomplishing. You see, our neocortex deals with the logical and physical world, okay? This is the part that allows us to solve a math problem or to put a recipe down for dinner and go to the grocery store, buy the ingredients, and then produce that recipe. This is the neocortex. This is where we live in modern society. The midbrain deals with the abstract. It's going to look at all of the options, and it's going to connect the neocortex and the instinctual urges of the limbic brain, and it's going to make sure that everything's talking to each other and kind of brings about the how, which we could say is the line between point A and point B. Now, the limbic brain, at the core, this is actually where our why lives. This is where the fire is constantly burning. And that's because the limbic brain, in its concern to keep us alive, is focused on obtaining the things that we need in order to continue living. And it even seeks after things that fulfill the needs that we are currently experiencing. So it can be said that our why is actually our greatest unmet need. And so a lot of people at this point go, oh, okay, I already know what that is. It's money. Well, that's not exactly quite right yet. What we're looking at is that your limbic brain has been trained by experiences throughout your entire life. And by training that limbic brain, you're able to understand instinctually what to do in every situation. Were you bitten by a dog as a child? You're going to have a different limbic response as an adult than someone when they see a barking dog than someone who has not had a bad experience with a dog. Have you been in a car accident before? You're going to experience a different limbic experience driving on the freeway than somebody who has never been in a car accident. You see, the experiences that we have shape our limbic responses in all situations. And so each one of us is as unique as the experiences that we've had. So the exercise that we're about to embark on is going to take you through all of the layers of the brain down to that core. Let's go ahead and get started. You have your blank sheet of paper in front of you. You have a pen. This isn't something you're going to be typing down. So all of you that have your phones or your iPads or your computers with a little notepad pulled up here as you're watching this presentation, put those away and get a sheet of paper and a pencil out. It's not because I'm going to be having you do any sort of major doodling or anything. It's simply that when you put a pen to paper, it's going to fire hundreds of thousands of neurons versus only tens of thousands when you're in typing mode, okay? And what we need is full brain connection here as we travel from the outside down to that core. We're going to do it by asking a series of questions. The psychologists call this the repeated question technique. And all this does is takes you from the outside layers of your brain, causes you to make cognitive responses to them. We're going to access your belief system, and then we're going to get to the core. Let's get started. You're going to start out first by saying, why am I doing doTERRA as a business? Why am I doing doTERRA as a business? And as you write your answer, you're going to begin with the words, because I. Now go ahead and pause this presentation right now. Grab your mouse. Yep, go down, push the pause button, and then you're going to write down your answer. Go ahead. Okay. You've written down your answer. Chances are good that you're pretty proud of it. What you've written down on your piece of paper is probably what you tell most people. This is what we call the safe elevator pitch, or the short, quick answer. What you've written down on your paper, for the most part, most of you have written down the safest, most publicly acceptable answer that you typically share when somebody says, oh, why are you doing this as a business? All of a sudden, the thing pops into your mind, and this is what you've written down. Typically, it's going to be something really wonderful, like I want to share the beauty of natural solutions with everyone who I meet, or something even greater, like these products have so changed my life that I can't keep my mouth shut and I have to tell everybody about it. That's beautiful, right? It sounds great. Or it could even be something like, I just want to make more money. So whatever it is, you've written down something that is completely acceptable and completely wonderful. But I have a message for you. This answer to question 1 is simply a doorway to get the fluff out of the way. And what you've written down is akin to a bumper sticker. Now, there's not a whole lot of meaning on the surface. If you were to put this beautiful saying on a t-shirt or on a bumper sticker and go carrying it around, you would be very proud of what it said, and only you would know what was going on under the surface, you see, because what you just wrote down is actually only the doorway to finding your fire. What's really going on is several layers down, there's unquenchable burning desire that we need to get down and identify where it's coming from. So this surface answer that you just gave, I quite often call your fake why, or the bumper sticker why. Now, don't take that offensively. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just simply that this is kind of a facade and kind of a way that we label it. And I promise you, as we go through this exercise, you're going to look back at this answer number 1 and you're going to see how far you've come. And we'll do that just here in the next few minutes. Now, with that said, there's some great meaning in what you've put down, and we're going to go in to the next level now. Moving into question number 2. Question number 2 is simply this. Review what you wrote in question 1. Look at that answer that you wrote down, and then just ask this question. Why is this important to me? Why does it matter? Or simply, how come? And you're going to begin your answer by writing down, because I think. What this is doing is it's eliciting a cognitive response to the question, well, now justify what you just said. Why does that really matter to you? So again, you're going to pause the presentation here, and you're going to write down your answer to question number 2. Go ahead. Okay, great. Now that you have finished writing down the answer to question number 2, you might have started to feel a little bit of stirrings. That's because many of you, in writing down your answer to number 1, are actually writing things that are very meaningful to you. And so at the point that I'm challenging you to justify what you wrote down in number 1, there's a little bit of emotion tied to it. This isn't weakness, this is actually perfection. This is exactly the way that it's supposed to be going. And if you haven't felt any stirrings yet, chances are good that as we dig a little deeper that you will. You see, because the limbic brain isn't just responsible for how we make decisions and the feelings that we're seeking and the unmet needs in our lives, but the limbic brain is actually also responsible for emotion. This is where emotion lives. And the hardest part about going through this exercise is that the limbic brain doesn't have capacity for language. It can't communicate with words. It communicates with feelings. And so we're left in a logical world as speaking, upright, standing Homo sapiens. We're left trying to explain these feelings, okay? So if you felt a little bit of stirrings, great. High five, you're on the right track. If you haven't, just wait. We're going to get there. So look at what you wrote in number 2. This cognitive response is what I would call walking through the doorway. We've now justified what we wrote in number 1, and we're kind of onto a pathway here that's going to take us down towards that burning, unquenchable, need-driven part of our consciousness, this why, this limbic brain. Okay, so now that you've written that down, you're ready for number 3. Now I'm going to give you a little reminder here before we get into question 3, which is simply, this will work best for you if you make sure that you drop your inhibitions. A lot of people get into doing this exercise and they don't drop their inhibitions. They still continually put walls up. I don't want to get emotional. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to go there. It's too painful. It's too much. It's too whatever. And they push it away. And they talk themselves in circles. And so even as we've gotten from number 2 to number 3 here, this is typically where most people get lost, because this is where people tend to start putting up the blocks. And here's why. This next question, just 3 questions in, is going to access your belief system, and it's going to challenge you to access parts of your mind and your heart that are very important to you. So what you're going to do here in question number 3 is you're going to review what you wrote in question 2, and now you're going to ask the question, why is this important to me? Why does what I wrote in question 2 matter to me so much? And as you do that, be open to the emotion that comes. Let the pen flow on the paper. Let all of those things happen, because you're going to write down basically what you believe about what you just wrote in number 2. And just like we've done before, you're going to start with the phrase down here, because I believe. Now go ahead and pause the presentation and write down your answer to question number 3. Okay, now that we've unpaused and are moving forward, chances are good that as you wrote down the answer to number 3, that you might be feeling a little bit emotional. This is perfectly normal. And if you're not, it's okay. Chances are good that you're still in the right area, and that if you were to vocalize the things that you're writing down, then you would actually start to feel that emotion. Because what would be happening is that you would be connecting that first layer all the way down to this 3rd layer, and this is where emotion lives. Okay, so when you're saying, because I believe, what you're really saying is, I have personal experience with this thing, and this has shaped the way that I look at the world. This has shaped my motivations and the things that I do because of my beliefs. And your beliefs are built, undoubtedly, without question, by the experiences that you have had in your life. So you're starting to get into some pretty amazing territory. As a matter of fact, you're getting into what I call sacred ground. And this is one of the things I love about this exercise. Now, let's be really careful. I'm going to give a caution at this point. The things that you've written down, some people who are just desperately trying to be positive and trying to just keep it, just in this high vibe, positive thing. They don't want to dive into some of the negativity and some of the past hard things that have happened in their minds. And so what happens is that in these moments is that they go to a device where they just channel positivity, and instead of writing down what you really believe, instead you're writing down affirmations. This is where most people get off track at this point. So you want to look at what you wrote in number 2 and number 3 and make sure that you're not writing down affirmations like, because I think that I'm awesome, and I think that I can do whatever I put my mind to, and I think that, I just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's not getting you anywhere in your psyche. That's not digging any deeper into your limbic system. This has to be very personal. This has to be because of what you truly think, what's really going on under the surface. And sometimes it can be really hard. So just a caution on that. Now, what you've written here in number 3, again, most people get off track here at this one, because this is where sometimes the affirmations start to flow. Because I believe that, everybody should have natural solutions. Because I believe that that world peace is possible. Whatever it is, you start saying, because I believe, I believe. It's okay if you want to believe that, but what I'm really looking for here in number 3 is what you truly believe about why number 2 is important to you. And if you were good with number 2, it's because of what you wrote down in number 1 and why that's important to you. Can you see how far you've come now from number 1? You see how things have changed and how it shifted as you move from 1 to 2 to 3? Now, if you feel like you've gotten into affirmation mode here between 2 and 3 or along the way here at any point, just go ahead and pause again and make sure that you kind of rework those answers until you're really writing down what you think and what you believe about why those things are important to you. Once you've done this, you're going to be on the right track to get to question 4. This is the last question. Let's go ahead and move into it. Once you feel that you have a really great answer to number 3, where your belief in that thing is so well written out that you're able to look at it and gosh, it just really moves you. Just really, this is you. This is something that you just really hook onto, and this is, gosh darn it, this is really inspiring. Once you're in that place, you're ready for question 4. And this might take you a little bit of time. It's cool. This is a recording. I can wait days, months, and years for you to finish this part, but I'm guessing that since you're in this mode right here, right now, that you're going to get this. And I'm not just guessing because I'm hoping that you're going to get there. It's because I've done this exercise with thousands of people, and the majority of people with a good answer to 3 are going to work through here, and number 4 is going to be very revealing. And it's simply this. Review what you wrote in question 3, and then just simply ask this question. How do you know this? How did you come to know this? This is the experience. This is the bitter that taught you what is sweet. This is the darkness that taught you what is light. This is the pain that taught you what is comfort or pleasure. This is the contrast that motivates you every day. This is the filter that makes you choose what you choose in life. This is everything to you. And you may not even realize it until you start to write this down. How did you come to know this? So you're going to pause the presentation and you're going to write down the answer beginning with, because I know. Now go ahead and pause it, and I'll be waiting for you. Okay, great. Now that you've unpaused and you have this answer to number 4 in front of you, how do you feel? Can you believe what's on your paper? Isn't it interesting how that came out? Some of you might still be scratching your heads. Some of you still might feel like you haven't quite hit it on the nose yet, and that's okay, because we're going to still give you a couple more ideas of how to do this. But for those of you that are an emotional wreck right now, or that are feeling the emotion very close to the surface, high fives, hugs, congratulations, you are on sacred ground. You are in the emotional center of your brain. This is where emotion lives. This is where your why lives. This is where the fire is burning. And now that you're there, and now that you see what has come out onto paper, you're going to review that paragraph that you just wrote down, as short or as long as it is. And you're going to look for certain words or phrases or things that stand out. Go through and circle them. And you're going to look at kind of what's happening in there, and some of those phrases might stand out to you. Some of those things might stand out because you couldn't even believe that you were writing them as they were coming out, or maybe it's something that you've always known and this might be the first time that you've written it down, or maybe it's something that you've always been clear on and you're feeling confirmation now that, gosh, yes, this is exactly where I wanted to be. So with all of that said, look at the path that you've come on now from 1 to 4. What you wrote down in number 1 very likely has nothing to do with what you've written down in number 4. And this is the power of the repeated question technique, taking you all the way from simply, why are you doing this as a business, all the way down to, how do you know the things that you believe in? How do you know? And you can see what has shaped you. Can you see how this has nothing to do with doTERRA? This has nothing to do with the relationships that you currently have. This has nothing to do. What I'm saying is that everything in your life, the vehicles that are around you and that you're hooking onto and that you've allowed into your life, are there because they serve this why, this deep unmet need. Now, this could be from when you were a child. This could be from when you were an adult. This could be from last week. Whatever it is, as you come to realize what this deep core unmet need is, all of a sudden you realize where you're starting. And you're able to fashion a phrase out of this wonderful information. You're able to say, I know why I get up in the morning. I know why I'm building a business. I know why I'm trying to make a mark in the world, because I know what it feels like to be alone, or I know what it feels like to be scared, or I know what it feels like to be poor, or I know what it feels like to be broken. I know what it feels like to be at the bottom of the well with only a speck of light up there and just to be reaching for it. I know what it feels like. And once you understand that that is what's pushing you, that your limbic brain is pushing you to succeed in other things so that you never have to go back to that pain again, now you understand what it is that's really motivating you. This is where you are today. This is your starting point. And guess what? There are thousands of people out there who feel the same way. And once you find your fire, now that you've found it, you can take that fire and you can go light other torches, because in the moments when you're talking to them about why you do what you do, now that you're clear on it, your fire will burn through your eyes and your words, and hearts will communicate with hearts, and you will inspire other people to your cause. That is the difference between leaders who lead and leaders who fail. You will be able to use this why to inspire other people to your cause. Now, if you found this helpful, or something that you want to delve even deeper into and understand how belief is built and how this factors into the full picture, I would encourage you to check out the Belief Blueprint. You can currently get this at oillife.com, or you can buy it at the Oil Life store in Pleasant Grove, Utah, or it will also be available through Amazon and other booksellers soon. But the Belief Blueprint is a book that I wrote to show you the entire process of how belief is built from start to finish. And the exercise that you've just been through to find your fire is just the very first step. And there's more great information in this book than I have time to tell in a dozen presentations like this. And I hope that you'll take the time to check into it and share it with those around you. Feel free to share this video, spread it around. I encourage you to continue to go through this exercise over time as your why continues to evolve, as those needs are met, and as you continue to move above and beyond, you'll continue to reach for bigger and greater things, and those who you work with will benefit so much from knowing about this as well. So thanks for being with me. Thanks for being part of this, and I hope that you found something wonderful today, and best of luck to you in your business. God bless.